In our next scenario for 2018, we take a look at what would happen if slow economic growth became a global given.
In 2018, extremely slow economic growth has become the norm, creating havoc for governments, major institutions, and individuals, and leading to a gloomy mood we are struggling to get accustomed to. Meet Chris Kane. He has a law degree, $150,000 debt, and a job that pays less than flipping burgers at McDonald's. He's emblematic of many young people entering the workforce in 2018. And he's also my son. Continuing slow economic growth and what popular leaders describe as a crisis of legitimacy among institutions everywhere are making the world in 2018 a bleak place for young people like Chris. But since he began his career in this economy, his expectations are not so much lowered, but reframed to reflect what's possible today. Trust in almost all large institutions, faith-based organizations, government, politics, is at an all-time low in 2018, according to a recent Pew Global poll. Student debt in the U.S. has become toxic, reaching $1.8 trillion last year. The total workforce in the U.S. employed by organizations larger than 300 employees has shrunk to its lowest level in 40 years. Across the world, this somber trend is continuing. The Chinese economy has slowed, hurting the rest of the world. India has shown modest growth, but continues to be hampered by social unrest. And Europe, which began to crawl out of its indebtedness 2 years ago, hasn't seen the recovery the entire world had hoped for. In the business world, capital investment has all but dried up. One bright spot is that corporations, and even nations, have started to experiment with new ways of building trust and loyalty. They are now reaching for new levels of transparency. In the Fortune ratings of 100 best companies in 2015, the top 5 had the highest transparency quotients, attracting not only stockholders, but also talented employees. Chris has grown up in a world where people trust their own connections more than the official ones and pay almost no attention to official sources of information. Chris thinks I'm an old fuddy-duddy for reading the paper. He and his friends rely on connections they can verify for themselves or have verified by the ever-increasing number of digital vigilantes springing up in all parts of the world. Nearly 2/3 of people under 30 get all their news from YouTube. Twitter can reach almost anyone in the world with a phone and has become the de facto method of grassroots organizing. The way people work has changed radically over the last few years. Contract work has become the norm for many, and contract workers fall into 2 camps. Some take every job available. Some can afford to align their career choices and their beliefs. As usual, the more talented and educated you are, the more choices you have. The concept of a 9-to-5 job is something totally foreign to my son. His generation is desperate for work, but they have no illusions that it will be for one company for a long period of time. While we struggle to adapt to this new normal, and some places like Russia find the present much like the past, we see signs of hope in small places. In Ireland, an agreement worked out at great length between the Irish people and their parliament balances solid financial policies with hope. Some organizations have actually become more successful by coming clean about their real goals. In the end, the world in 2018, as it has always done, centers around human will and resolve. And while the options available to my son are greatly diminished compared to when I was in my 20s, the energy and passion I see in him and his friends is a clear indication that they will come out of this stronger.